He stood in front of a stage wrapped in gold lights, cameras flashing from every corner. The banner behind him read, Entrepreneur of the Year, Nathan Cole. His parents were in the front row, clapping nervously. They looked proud and a little confused, because exactly 1 year ago those same parents had forgotten his birthday, not by accident, but because they were too busy sending his sister on a trip to Hawaii. He remembered it vividly, the cold pancakes, the empty house, the single text from his mom that said, "Sorry, sweetie, things got busy." Busy? She had remembered to pack sunscreen for his sister, but forgot his name existed. Now here he was, standing on a stage so bright it almost mocked the darkness he came from. Reporters shouted his name, business leaders nodded respectfully, and his parents, well, they clapped like they were auditioning for forgiveness. Funny how life works. 12 months earlier, he couldn't even afford a birthday cake. Tonight, the cake had his logo carved in gold fondant. But before we get to this part, the spotlight, the applause and the expensive suit, let's rewind, because this story didn't start with a microphone and a smile. It started in a small house where birthdays were measured by who got more attention, not more candles. It started with a boy who was told he wasn't the achiever. That title belonged to his sister, the one who makes everyone proud. He was the quiet one, the forgotten one, the placeholder child who never made the family group chat photo. But something changed that day, his 29th birthday, when he realized being ignored wasn't the worst thing. It was being dependent on people who only noticed you when it made them look good. That silence, that loneliness, that empty kitchen table. It became the starting line of a race no one believed he could win. So how did a man nobody celebrated become the one everyone applauded? How did rejection turn into the reason he stood on that stage, holding a trophy that sparkled brighter than his family's approval ever did? Let's go back. Before the stage, before the company, before the heartbreak that changed everything. Welcome, story lovers. From where are you watching? Drop your city name in the comments. Let's see how far our story travels. Nathan Cole wasn't born bitter. He was born hopeful, the kind of kid who believed hard work could buy love. His childhood smelled like laundry detergent and disappointment, a mix of modest dreams and middle-class pressure. The Coles weren't a broken family. They just had a favorite child, and that favorite wasn't him. From the start, it was clear. His sister Lily was the shining star. The straight-A student, the beauty with the scholarship offers, the one everyone at church called the golden girl. Nathan? He was nice, quiet, helpful when you need something moved. He'd laugh at the jokes about favoritism, pretending it didn't sting. But deep down, every compliment to Lily felt like a reminder that he'd never be enough. Still, Nathan kept trying. He built model airplanes, fixed the broken toaster, helped his dad with taxes. He wanted to be useful because if he couldn't be loved, maybe he could be needed. In school, he wasn't brilliant, but he was consistent. He dreamed of becoming a software engineer, the kind of guy who could design apps and help people build things that lasted. But college wasn't easy when your parents believed investing in your sister was a better return. When Lily got into an expensive art program, his parents used his college fund to pay her tuition. "Don't worry, Nathan," his father said. "You'll figure it out. You're the independent one." Independent, a polite word for forgotten. He worked nights at a convenience store and days at a call center, trying to save for classes that never quite fit his schedule. His manager once joked, "You've got a voice for customer service, kid." "Stick to that," Nathan smiled. But inside, he wanted more than polite voices and scripted empathy. He wanted to build something real, something that couldn't be taken away. Then came the collapse. His father's small construction business went under after a lawsuit. The family panicked. Lily took a creative break and flew to New York. Nathan stayed behind, working double shifts to help pay the mortgage. His parents didn't ask him to, but guilt is a powerful motivator. He sold his car, skipped meals, and quietly covered bills. His father called him a good man. His mother said, "I don't know what we'd do without you." But when Lily came home, the compliments shifted again. You always bring light into this house, they told her. Nathan was the shadow keeping the lights on. Years passed. He tried dating, but even love felt conditional. "You're sweet, Nate," one girlfriend said, "but you're not ambitious enough." Funny, ambition costs money, and he was still paying for everyone else's dreams. Still, Nathan never stopped learning. At night, after long shifts, he'd sit in the dark with his old laptop watching free coding tutorials on YouTube. He built tiny projects, apps no one saw, websites no one visited, but each one felt like a brick in a future only he believed in. Then came the day that broke him, his 29th birthday. He woke up expecting nothing, which made the silence easier to swallow. No messages, no breakfast, no sign anyone remembered. By noon, he realized why. His parents were at the airport, dropping Lily off for her Hawaii art retreat. He saw the photos online later, his mom's proud smile, his dad holding Lily's luggage, the caption, "So proud of our little sunshine chasing her dreams." No mention of him, no call, not even a text. He sat in the small apartment he could barely afford, eating leftover noodles while scrolling through their posts. He didn't cry. He just felt hollow. It wasn't anger. It was something colder. The quiet understanding that maybe, just maybe, he didn't belong in their version of family. That night, he made a promise to himself. If they didn't see his worth, he'd build a life so bright they couldn't ignore it. No drama, no revenge, just results. So he started small. He took freelance coding jobs online, earning $50 here, $100 there. He taught himself marketing, web design, and business strategy. Every dollar he saved went into learning more. Every rejection fueled his focus. He stopped waiting for validation and started building momentum. When people said, "You're wasting your time," he smiled, because he'd wasted years trying to please them, and this finally felt right. Months passed. Projects grew. Clients returned. He built a simple productivity app, nothing fancy, but it took off among small business owners. Within 6 months, he was earning more than his old call center salary. Within a year, he was running a registered company from his tiny apartment. But here's the thing about success. It doesn't erase pain. It reframes it. Nathan didn't become rich overnight. He became unbreakable. Every unpaid bill, every ignored text, every lonely birthday built him, and yet, beneath all that progress, a part of him still wished, just once, that his parents would call and say, "We're proud of you." He never got that call, at least not until the day his face appeared on the news. It started with an email, one that looked like spam. Subject line, "Partnership opportunity, call if interested." Nathan almost deleted it, but something about the signature caught his eye. Eleanor Marks, business consultant. Eleanor wasn't famous, but in the world of small startups, she was known as the idea whisperer. She'd helped 3 underdog founders turn their side hustles into 7-figure businesses. Nathan had posted his small productivity app on a freelance marketplace. Nothing flashy, just a simple tool to organize client projects. Somehow she'd seen it. They met on a video call. Eleanor looked like the kind of woman who'd seen it all, mid-50s, sharp eyes, and the patience of someone who doesn't waste words. "I like what you've built," she said. "But your problem is visibility, not quality." That one sentence changed everything. She offered to mentor him, not for money but for a share of future profits. Nathan hesitated. He'd built everything alone. Trusting someone new felt risky, but risk was better than stagnation. So he said yes. And for the first time, someone outside his family believed in him. Under Eleanor's guidance, he learned how to pitch, how to present, how to turn a small tool into a brand. Within 6 months, his app had over 50,000 downloads. Small business owners loved its simplicity. Reviews flooded in. "This app saved my team's sanity." And one morning, a tech blogger called it the next big thing in digital productivity. Nathan couldn't believe it. He was still living in the same small apartment, eating microwaved meals. But the world had started to notice. Then came the media attention. A local business magazine featured his story under the headline, "From Ignored Son to Rising Tech Founder." It was poetic, maybe a little painful, because his parents saw it too. The first message came from his mom. "So proud of you, honey. We always knew you'd do something amazing." Then his dad. "Looks like all those long nights finally paid off. Let's celebrate soon." Nathan smiled politely, replied with short answers, but inside he was conflicted. Where was this pride when he needed it most? Where were these words when he was struggling to believe in himself? Still, he didn't want to live in bitterness. He accepted their sudden warmth. He even sent them free access to his premium app, a small gesture of forgiveness, or maybe habit. But family dynamics don't rewrite that easily. When his sister Lily returned from Hawaii, things got strange. She'd seen the news too, and for the first time, he was the one being praised at the dinner table. Their parents couldn't stop talking about him. "Nathan's app is brilliant. He's getting investors. Maybe Lily could help him with design. She's so creative." That last comment planted the seed. Within weeks, Lily reached out, all charm and sweetness. "I'm so proud of you," she said over coffee. "Maybe I can join your project? Add a visual touch?" Nathan hesitated. She'd never shown interest before, but he didn't want to be petty. Maybe this was a chance to rebuild something broken, so he agreed. At first, it worked beautifully. Lily's designs were good, and her personality attracted media attention. They started presenting together, the Cole Duo, as one investor called them. But success changes people. Or maybe it just exposes who they've been all along. Soon, Lily started doing interviews without telling him. Her captions read things like, "Honored to co-found this amazing brand with my brother." Co-found? Nathan blinked at the word. He'd built the app from scratch. She'd joined 6 months ago. When he confronted her, she laughed. "Oh, come on. It sounds better for PR. Investors love sibling stories." It wasn't malicious, just careless. But carelessness can cut deep. Eleanor noticed his frustration. She pulled him aside during a team meeting and said, "Nathan, every visionary faces this moment. When the story starts slipping from your hands, you either tighten your grip or you let someone else write it for you." That night, he barely slept. The app was growing faster than he could manage. Investors wanted contracts. New clients demanded updates. And then came the biggest blow. Lily pitched a deal without him. A major tech firm wanted to buy their company for $2.5 million. It was life-changing money. But Nathan hadn't even been informed. When he found out, Lily shrugged. "It's just business, Nate. You'll get your share." But it wasn't about money. It was about ownership, identity, dignity. He wasn't the background character anymore. But somehow, his own story was being stolen again. Eleanor's advice echoed in his head. Tighten your grip or lose your story. So he did something bold. He declined the offer publicly and announced his next project live on a podcast, a new version of his app with AI integration entirely under his name. The internet noticed. Investors backed him directly. But the family fallout was brutal. His parents called him ungrateful. His sister accused him of being jealous. For the first time, Nathan wasn't the quiet one. He didn't argue, didn't explain. He simply moved forward, and as his company grew, so did the tension. The same people who once ignored him now wanted credit for his light. He faced lawsuits, smear campaigns, emotional manipulation, all from within the circle he once called home. But Nathan didn't fight back with words. He fought back with progress. He kept building, learning, improving, until the company reached global recognition. And when the next tech awards came around, it wasn't Lily on the guest list. It was him, alone, invited to receive the award as the sole founder of Coltech Solutions. It was the night he walked on stage, the same one we saw at the beginning. The night his parents finally clapped from the front row. But this time, he didn't need their applause. He had already found something stronger than their approval. His own worth. The night of the Global Tech Innovators Conference wasn't just another event. It was the event. Every major startup founder, investor, and media outlet was there. The air smelled like ambition and anxiety mixed together. Nathan Cole stood backstage, breathing slow. The lights beyond the curtain painted streaks across his face. His name was on the program. Keynote speaker, Nathan Cole, founder of Coltech Solutions. He'd done hundreds of presentations before, but this one was different. Because somewhere in that audience sat his parents, smiling like proud sponsors of a child they once forgot existed. And sitting right beside them, Lily. He hadn't seen her in months. Not since the lawsuits, the headlines, the quiet war of who really built it. She'd shown up uninvited, of course. That was Lily's style. She didn't ask to be part of a story. She just walked in and tried to own it. The announcer's voice boomed, "Please welcome to the stage the man redefining productivity for millions, Nathan Cole." Applause erupted. Cameras flashed. Nathan stepped into the light. For a second, he froze, not from nerves, but from the weight of it all. The same boy who once couldn't afford cake was now standing beneath chandeliers, holding the microphone that would decide his legacy. He smiled and began, voice steady but charged. "People often ask how I built my company from nothing. But the truth is, I didn't start from nothing. I started from being ignored." The room shifted. Journalists leaned forward. He glanced toward his parents. They smiled awkwardly, unaware that this wasn't the success speech they'd expected. Nathan continued, "When I first shared my app idea, people laughed. Even my own family said I should focus on something more realistic. They said my sister, she's the creative one, the one who makes things happen." He paused. The audience chuckled politely, sensing irony. But here's what they didn't see. Sometimes, the quiet one is building while everyone else is talking. A wave of applause rippled through the crowd. He went on, telling the story of sleepless nights, freelancing for pennies, studying in the dark. Then, with deliberate calm, he dropped the bombshell. "A few months ago, someone I trusted tried to sell my company behind my back." Gasps spread. He didn't name names, but everyone could see who he was looking at. Lily's face went pale. Cameras swung toward her. Nathan's tone stayed measured. "It hurt, not because of the money, but because of the lesson. It reminded me that success without integrity is just another form of failure." You could hear a pin drop. Even the hosts stopped whispering into their earpieces. He raised his head, eyes sharp under the spotlight. "I was told I wasn't the one who makes things happen. But maybe I didn't have to be. Maybe I just had to become the one who doesn't give up." The crowd erupted. The kind of applause that feels like thunder. Nathan exhaled slowly. He didn't smile. Not yet. And then, in an unexpected twist of fate, Lily stood up. Her voice trembled, but she tried to sound confident. "That's not fair," she said loudly. "You act like you did this alone." The audience fell silent again. Nathan looked at her for a long second. Years of suppressed emotions played across his face. Hurt, disbelief, and finally, peace. "You're right," he said softly. "I didn't do it alone." He turned to the audience. "I did it with the help of everyone who underestimated me. Every no, every eye roll, every forgotten birthday. You all built this with me." The applause came back stronger, roaring, unstoppable. Lily sat down, face burning red. Their parents looked frozen, realizing this wasn't a celebration. It was a reckoning. Nathan's voice steadied once more. "If you've ever been ignored, remember this. Silence can be fuel. Rejection can be direction. And sometimes the people who doubt you the most become the audience to your success." He ended his speech with quiet grace. No mic drop, no arrogance, just truth. As he walked off stage, journalists surged forward, reporters shouting questions, flashes bursting like lightning. But Nathan didn't stop. He just glanced back once toward his parents and sister, then disappeared behind the curtain, his expression unreadable. Backstage, Eleanor waited, smiling. "You handled that beautifully," she said. He nodded. "I didn't want revenge. I just wanted closure." Eleanor's eyes softened. "And you got it." Minutes later, social media exploded. Clips of his speech went viral. Ignored son's speech leaves audience in tears. His name trended worldwide. But more than fame, it brought something deeper. Freedom. Because in that single moment, he stopped being the forgotten child. He became the man who defined his own story. Dear audience, if you're feeling that surge of emotion right now, if you've ever been underestimated or overlooked, don't forget to like this video. It really helps the story reach someone who needs to hear it tonight. In the weeks following the conference, Nathan's world transformed, not overnight, but in waves. The morning after his speech, his inbox overflowed with messages. CEOs wanted partnerships, investors wanted meetings, and universities wanted him to speak to their graduates about resilience and integrity. But the message that stopped him cold came from a name he hadn't seen in years. Dad, we saw your speech. We're proud of you, son. Can we talk? For a long time, Nathan just stared at the words. The boy in him wanted to reply immediately, but the man he had become needed a moment to breathe. He took that meeting 2 weeks later, not in an office or conference hall, but at the same family diner where they used to eat when money was tight. The irony wasn't lost on him. His parents arrived first. They looked smaller somehow, older, quieter. The pride on their faces was real this time, but it was mixed with something deeper. Regret. His mother spoke first. Nathan, we didn't see it then. We should have. He nodded gently. I know, no raised voices, no bitterness. Just a calm acceptance that the past couldn't be rewritten, only understood. They talked for hours. About childhood. About dreams. About that 29th birthday that started it all. His father finally said, we thought we were supporting Lily because she needed it more. But maybe you were the one who needed us. Nathan smiled sadly. Maybe we all needed each other and didn't know how to show it. For the first time, there was silence between them that didn't hurt. Months later, Coltech had become more than a company. It was a movement. Nathan started a foundation called the Ignored Initiative, offering mentorship and funding to young entrepreneurs who came from families that never believed in them. Every scholarship awarded carried a personal note from him. To the dreamer who was told they weren't enough, build anyway. His speeches filled auditoriums. But even on global stages, he spoke softly, never arrogantly. He didn't talk about revenge, only about redemption. Eleanor, ever the steady presence, became his closest ally, professionally and personally. She often reminded him, your success is loud enough. You don't need to shout. One evening, about a year later, he got an unexpected call from Lily. Her voice trembled. Can we meet? They met in a quiet cafe near the water. She looked different, tired, humbled. She admitted that after the public fallout, she'd lost clients, friends, confidence. But she also said, it made me realize how selfish I'd been. I thought being the one who makes things happen meant taking control. You showed me it means standing for something. Nathan didn't gloat. He simply said, then it wasn't all for nothing. They sat there for hours, not as rivals, but as siblings rediscovering humanity in each other. Before leaving, Lily whispered, Happy late birthday, Nate. He smiled. Thanks. You finally remembered? Years later, on his 35th birthday, Nathan stood in his office, overlooking the skyline that once felt unreachable. The city lights glittered like scattered dreams finally gathered in one place. His team had surprised him earlier with a cake and a card signed by dozens of employees, people who looked up to him not as a boss, but as a mentor. The message on the cake read, to the one who makes everyone else believe they can. And that line, so simple, brought tears to his eyes. He thought about his 29th birthday again. The empty phone, the lonely evening, the feeling of being invisible. Now, even when he craved silence, he was surrounded by people who truly saw him. He had wealth now, yes. Recognition, awards, even influence. But what mattered most was peace, the kind that came not from proving others wrong, but from proving himself right. He used to chase validation. Now he gave it freely. He used to wait for applause. Now he created space for others to shine. One day, during a mentoring session, a young developer nervously confessed, My parents think I'm wasting time on this idea. Nathan smiled knowingly. Good. That means you're onto something. The room laughed, but the young man's eyes lit up with hope. That's when Nathan realized his story had stopped being about him. It had become a mirror for thousands of others walking through the same shadows. That evening, as the sun dipped low, he visited his parents' house for dinner. No tension this time, just warmth, laughter, and a homemade cake baked by his mom. She handed him a small box. Inside was an old photo, the family together on his 10th birthday. On the back, she had written, "We missed too many of your birthdays. Never again." Nathan smiled softly, the past finally making sense. He didn't need them to rewrite history. He'd already rewritten the ending. When he left that night, the air felt lighter. He looked up at the stars, each one a reminder that sometimes distance creates clarity. And maybe, just maybe, being ignored was the greatest gift he ever received because it forced him to listen to his own voice. Thanks for watching. If Nathan's journey moved you, give this video a like. It helps our stories reach more hearts. And remember, sometimes the people who overlook you today will one day stand to applaud you. Keep building quietly. One day the world will listen loudly.